Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the last round bolt hold open magazines for your AK-47. We're going to be considering if they're worth the trouble, if you should buy them. For those of you not aware, on an AK-47, when your magazine goes dry, the bolt does not hold open like on an AR-15. So this magazine right now is empty, right? So you can see that the bolt goes all the way forward. There's nothing to catch the bolt open. So the only way that you're gonna know that this gun is dry is when you pull the trigger, you hit a click, and now you know you gotta change your magazine. Okay. So this is a tactical magazine. I've had these for about at least 8 years. Between the 10 magazines that I have, I've done about a total of about 20,000 rounds on 2 separate AK-47s. So these tacticals have held up pretty good. But earlier this summer, I did experiment with these Serbian magazines. That basically what happens is the follower comes up a little bit higher. So if you compare these two magazines side by side, right, you can see how the follower on the Serbian one here comes up a little bit higher versus the tactical one, which is more of a clear path over here. So because the follower comes up higher, after that last round, your bolt is going to catch the back of the follower, and that's going to hold your bolt open. Okay, so I'm going to put this one in. Okay, it's in. Right, fire your last round. You can see how your bolt holds open. Now, once you take the magazine out, the bolt is going to close. So the bolt holding open has the benefit of basically notifying you that your gun is empty before you try to pull the trigger. But as soon as you take out the magazine, okay, that bolt is going to close. That is a disadvantage, because if you have a full magazine and your bolt is closed, what that means is when you go to put your magazine in, right, if this is a full magazine, now that there's a lot of pressure and you're trying to rock it in on your AK, and it can be very tight. Okay, right now it's going in really easy, but it's empty. So that would be a big advantage of your AK staying open on that last round, after you take your magazine out. But that's not the case, right? Locks open on the last round, right? When you go to do your magazine change, it goes forward, and then you gotta put the next magazine in. So the thing that we're addressing today is it worth it? Should you get these? Well, one of the things I want to bring to your attention is I was using these for about 2 months over the summer. So I guess over the course of 2 months, I maybe ran, I don't know, about 1,000 rounds through, because it was a busy summer. I ran maybe 1,000 rounds through about 10 magazines. And one of the things that I noticed is that the back of the follower was getting beat up, right? You can see how there's a little wear there, right? Yeah. On some others, let me get another one over here. You can see how the back of the follower has been hit a little bit. It's kind of bent in a little bit, all right? Now, this is probably as strong a magazine as you can get, okay? You can see if this is a Serbian one, you can see how the feed lips are reinforced, right? You got that extra plate here on both sides. The front catch over here is reinforced. The rear is reinforced. So this is probably as strong of a magazine as has ever been created, right? And still that follower is getting... Oops. Now this is the problem with AKs. If you don't get it at the right angle, sometimes you have, they can be a little slow to reload. But because that bolt is basically coming back on that last round, it's slamming forward, it's hitting the back of the follower, it's damaging a little bit. So this function has a very limited life, okay? I have another magazine here. That one. Here's the one, okay? You can see how this one has been kind of shaved, pressed in a little bit. Not much more than the others. And again, this is over the course of 2 months, total of 1,000 rounds over 10 magazines. So I don't know. I mean, each of these. I mean, I don't think that these magazines did that many rounds to sustain this amount of damage. So you can see it's no longer catching. Right? So it does not take long to damage these magazines to the point that that follower is no longer going to hold the bolt open. Okay. Now I stopped using these magazines. I went back to the Tapcos. The reason why I stopped using these magazines is because I saw how much damage the bolt was doing to the magazine, you know, to the follower of the magazine, over what I thought was a very short period of time of about 2 months. It was probably even less than that, but over about 2 months. And what I think is happening, I mean, if the bolt is damaging the follower, you know, over a longer period of time, the bolt is going to get damaged itself, right? Because you got two pieces of metal slamming into each other. Yeah, granted, the bolt is a lot harder, but you know, if you do it long enough, the bolt is going to start sustaining some type of damage as well. So that's the reason why I stopped using the last round bolt hold open magazines on my AK-47s. One of the things that I found out over summer is that the bolts on AK-47s are not drop-ins like on AR-15s, right? When AR-15, your bolt breaks, you just chuck it, put another one in there, you know, they just drop in parts. With the AK-47s, what I found out is that if you change the bolt, right, you have to, basically you have to headspace, you gotta check the headspace on the rifle, okay, because you may have to move the barrel forward or backwards, you know, in order to get the right head spacing. So it requires gunsmithing, something that I'm not capable of doing, right? AK-47s are much harder to gunsmith than AR-15s. It's a lot harder to change the barrels on AKs versus AR-15s. So I didn't want to get into that. So I said, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go back to these Tapcos. I don't have to worry about damaging the magazines because I can see that there's clear damage, right? And like I said, that only happened over 2 months. Eventually, all of them would have stopped working, right? Eventually, they all would have got damaged to the point where they stopped holding the bolt open. And by that time, I don't know if my bolt would have sustained any damage or not sustained any damage. I don't know, but I didn't want to take that chance. I didn't think it was worthwhile. I thought I was getting very little benefit out of this because, again, once you take the magazine out, the bolt closes anyway. So it doesn't help you in the reloading. It just gives you an indication that you just ran dry. So that's why I just went back to these Tapcos. They work pretty good. Like I said, these, I got 10 of them. They've done 20,000 rounds over a period of about 8 years. And now that I'm thinking about it, I should really order more of these. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any feedback, comments, some of your own experiences to share, please put in the comment section. And if you're not a member of the channel, please subscribe. I'll talk to you guys soon.